everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to December Daily 2020, and in this process video I'm going to share my days 12 through 15. I am finishing up this album after it being dormant for a couple of months, and so I'm hoping to get it finished up before my new Ali Edwards box arrives this year and before a new season begins. So thank you for joining in. If you followed along with me last year, then you saw how I created this sort of Advent tree for day 12. I used products from Celine Studio, and I will link the numbers and the die cuts down below where you can find those to purchase. And then I created this advent calendar myself. It's loosely inspired by some advent calendars that I've seen on Pinterest, and I just created little doors and hand cut those behind the numbers so that I could add something during the month of December. And what I decided to put behind those doors is some of the words of affirmation and some of the quotes and things that I had seen during that month that brought me joy. And so you'll be able to see more detailed, a more detailed look at some of those quotes and sayings on my blog. I hope that you'll hop over there and just take a look. Some of the things that I added were just some of the lovely comments that I had received on social media. And I just want to say that I didn't include everything, because I just chose 12 for day 12. But I did just want to say that if you are one of the people who has left me lovely comments and has supported me on my journey, my creative journey, I just want to say thank you, and how much that actually means when you leave a kind comment and when you let someone know that you're inspired by them. So thank you so much for providing me with some lovely points of light. And that's really what this page is about for me. And I have to say that I love this concept so much that I'm thinking about ways that I can do this every month in my Project Life albums, and how can I do this in the future in my December Daily albums as well, because that was something that just looking back at things that I had saved on my phone brought a bit of joy even today preparing for this layout. It just brought a little bit of joy and helped me remember the kind things, and helped me remember some sources of hope that I found just in my everyday, just in cruising through social media, in finding friendships here. And so again, just thank you for that. Moving forward to day 13, I'm working with an Ali Edwards digital template in 6x8, and I sort of combined two here. And again, I will link those products in the blog post so that you'll know what products I've used. But there was the Awesome Spirit of the Season is an Ali Edwards overlay, and then the large photo with the title block at the bottom is also an Ali Edwards December Daily template. And so I brought in my photo here and then added the Awesome Spirit of the Season as an overlay, and then I recolored it in a sort of Christmassy red here, trying to match the Ali Edwards brand red. She uses a pretty specific red, and so I was trying to recreate that a little bit just using the color dropper tool. And of course, this template leaves a nice little bit of space for journaling. And so my story for day 13 was just a simple story about decorating the mantle and adding some of our lights and things, lights and candles on the mantle, and just creating a festive look, and how much joy that brings me every year to pull out all the Christmas decorations. And I'm a bit of a slow decorator. I don't know about you. Some people, I'm in awe actually of people who bring out all their Christmas decorations and they put it all out in a day and it's all done. I'm not that person. It took us like 2 weeks to decorate the Christmas tree, and a little while to get all the decorations out and everything. And but some of that for me is just the enjoyment of the process, just like I enjoy creating pages and taking my time finishing albums and taking my time creating scrapbook layouts. I also enjoy taking my time with decorating the house. So the process has gone really quick here, and that's the nice thing about having a good set of foundation pages prepared for you, is that actually pulling the layouts together and finishing them goes pretty quickly. And so day 14, I had this little pocket that originally it had a flap, and I cut that off and then punched a half of a circle so that there would be a thumb notch there. And then I'm just using a 3x8 tag. I've also printed my photo in a 3x8 size. And my story for that day was going to a place in Greensboro called Jerry's Artorama or something like that. And you've probably heard me talking about it before. You've probably heard Heather. If you follow Heather's Crafty Life, you've probably heard her talking about it as well. It's just a little art supply store over in Greensboro, and we had gone over there to find a mat for one of my maps from Germany that I wanted to get framed for Christmas. And they had this adorable little street sign that said Acrylics Avenue in their paint aisle. And so I took a picture of that and included that here because it's just the best of all the worlds, the best of the paint world, the best of Christmas. And so that is my journaling about just discovering this cute little street sign in the middle of the store, and how fun it is, you know, when you go shopping into stores, into art supply stores, and you find your people, and you find people who get you. And one thing that I wanted to do here was to add just a little embellishment at the top, and that's going to be sort of like a little pull tab. And what I ended up doing was the little sticky part that was sticking up over the journaling card. I just tucked that down behind the photo, and there you can see a better view of this cute little street sign. And then I'm going to add just a simple little puffy sticker here. Something that I did before I sat down to film was I just went and looked in my supplies and pulled a couple of chipboard sheets, a stamp set, and a pack of puffy stickers, and I didn't even really look at what I had grabbed. I just grabbed and started filming, and that's kind of a fun way to use your products without thinking about it too much or without making it too complicated. And so that was day 14, and then moving into day 15 is this Ali Edwards inspired quilted heart. And so Allie had done this in the product play class last year, and I think that her triangles were a little bit smaller than mine. Mine turned out a bit different than hers, and that's cool. But one thing I did when I created the original heart, was I kept this template, and this is probably a pretty smart thing to do. In hindsight, I wish that I had waited to adhere everything to the transparency after it was all put together, because some of the things, it made it a little bit harder to put together, but I made it work. And it is a lot of layers of paper to pull together here. The quilted triangles themselves, the sheet that they're on that backs them, the sheet that backs the whole thing and supports the whole thing, the photo, the pattern paper that goes on the back, the transparency, the pattern paper that goes on the inside of the heart. It's just a lot of paper layers, and if you look really closely, you can see that it's not perfect, but the overall idea is there, and it worked out really beautifully, and I loved how it came together. So the story that I'm telling is about super giant packages for Christmas, and our son Nick had asked for a gaming chair for Christmas, and so we were wrapping this big giant box and had so much fun wrapping it, and so much fun putting that big old present under the tree. That's part of the magic of Christmas for us, and that is finding ways to make it special for our children. And so that's really what this story was about. And so we used the self-timer and took some pictures of us actually wrapping it in the middle of the floor. And it fit so cute in this big old heart. It tells more of the story to me, or it conveys this the love and attention that Alan and I have both spent over the years on Christmas and creating a really magical Christmas for our 4 children every year, and how exciting and fun that is, but also how deeply grateful I am that we get to do this, and we get to make these holidays so special for them. And it's just been amazing from year to year to see how lucky we've been, how it just kind of leaves me speechless a little bit sometimes. I've told the story every year about how one of the years right after my divorce, I had exactly $80 to spend for Nick and Natalie for their Christmas that year, and they were just little. And to go from that and now to have these wonderful Christmases where we get to put big giant boxes under the tree is pretty humbling. So at any rate, trying to figure out how to number this heart, and I really seriously considered leaving that wooden 15 at the top of the transparency. That 15 is from Color Cast Designs, but I also knew that the heart needed some kind of way to lift the center pieces up to open the gate, so to speak. And so I just ended up doing a little black round label from LA Studio and the little wooden number 15, which I think is probably also from LA Studio. And then I'm going to just adhere it down on one side and let that be kind of the door that opens the gate. It's really simple, but it also really works and makes a good way to open that. It also contrasts against the quilted pieces there, and that was something that I felt was important too. And so now to figure out what to do on either side of the photo, and I knew I wanted to just do very simple pattern papers, but I realized that the size that I had made that heart meant that it was going to be 2 different pattern papers, and that's okay. It was fun to bring in more color and more pattern and more excitement and more fun, right? So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm still keeping in the grays and reds, of course. Here's where I figured out that I couldn't quite get both sides of the heart out of one sheet, and that's totally fine. So let's go find another sheet to use on the other side. These are just some of the papers that I've collected over the last few years, and I ended up just going with the gray scripted and this little green on white Christmas tree. Just more simple patterns here. They also, looking back at it now with the tones that are in the photo, that it ties in really beautifully and creates this sort of almost monochromatic feel. Even though the photo is in color, there's still just this feeling of kind of gray green. I don't know, but it works beautifully. And then it also leaves a couple of spaces. Once I trim things down a little bit, it left a couple of opportunities for some puffy stickers. And you know, I'm always all about some puffy stickers. So I'm gonna, once I get that trimmed out as best I can, then I'll add those little embellishments. This is where I was kind of hating that it was all already glued down, because it made it a little bit harder to trim those pieces. So if you're gonna do this, I recommend put your heart together and all of the layers together, trim it out, and then adhere it down. You get to learn. You get to learn from my errors here. So a simple puffy tag and the puffy Christmas tree on the left, and then 2 little trees on the right. And I was looking to see if I wanted to cover up that little half label, but I didn't. And then here's where I went off the script a little bit. And I think that this works really kind of nice to tie in the heart together with the transparency. I added that little word strip across the bottom of the photo, and it goes off of the photo onto the transparency. And of course that means on the back I'm gonna try to figure out a way to cover that, and we'll see how that goes here in just a moment. But I still had the back of this heart to contend with. This did take a little bit of time to pull together. It's why my process video is a little bit longer today than usual. But I had the back of this heart that I needed to cover up, and I also needed a space for my journaling. So I'm going to use this crepe paper star pattern paper and cut out this wonky heart shape again and use that as the base. And then I have some of my Christmas products from Studio Calico Documenter kits. They're just a couple from last year, from 2020, and probably some products from 2019 as well. And I've just ended up adding those to my December daily products so that I could incorporate them into my albums somehow. And so once I got this pattern paper down, I had to try to figure out how do I want to create a journaling spot here. And I was gonna kind of make another quilted heart, but I didn't have the creative energy to do that. So I'm gonna go really simple here and use a journaling card. I found this little 3x4 plaid card, and it was one of the first that I found, but I ended up going through the whole stack again. But sometimes the first couple of cards that you pick are the ones that you end up going for anyway. And so you can also see where I've pulled out the Magic is Here gray card with the stars on it, and I'm gonna end up punching that using a circle punch and using that as one of the embellishments for that journal card. And so let me go and grab that circle punch, and it's probably the 1.5 inch size, whatever is big enough to just fit the magic word. And then I got to trim off a little bit from the top. So let me adhere that first and trim that off, and then that leaves a little bit of space for me to journal. I'm also gonna just add a few little tiny staples. That stapler is from Michael's, and it was just like an impulse buy at the cash register one day. And then I have the perfect little spot to write my words, just really briefly about how much fun we had wrapping that big old present. And then I'm just going to adhere that directly to the heart. And I was just checking to see if there was any other way I wanted to embellish it. And I remembered, and you can see the back of that chipboard word strip that stretches beyond the boundary of the heart. And so I thought, well, why don't I cover that up? And I realized that that first chipboard piece said the same thing. The magic is here. So then I went ahead and just grabbed this one, and it's the exact same size. Duh. So that is a simple way to repeat chipboard elements on your transparencies there. And then it establishes that relationship between the transparency and the quilted heart here. And then it overlapped one of the punched circles just a tiny bit, so I made sure that that was punched really well and ready to go in the album. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.